Good morning. My name is Julia Ramponi, and it is my privilege to serve as your worship associate today. We come together in community, supporting and encouraging each other on our spiritual journeys, affirming the importance not only of tolerance, but of acceptance, compassion, open-mindedness. Welcome to this good place, Tapestry, a Unitarian Universalist congregation. April is Climate Justice Month. This is our last Sunday, and our topic today is Earth. Lady Bird Johnson once said, "The environment is where we all meet, where we all have a mutual interest. It is the one thing all of us share." There is nothing more majestic and awe-inspiring than this earth upon which we live. For all we know, it may be a singularity in the entire cosmos. Among all the billions and billions of stars and planets out there, we may actually reside on the only speck that can sustain any sort of life as we know it. And what a magnificent home it is. Soaring mountains, brilliant sunsets, snow-white beaches, lush tropical forests, swirling rivers, and life, so much life. Elephants, hedgehogs, rattlesnakes, dolphins, sunflowers, giant sequoias, and oh yes, humans. We haven't exactly been kind to our home in the past. We've taken and destroyed and used up and hunted species to extinction for millennia without a second thought. And now all of this waste and taking has caught up with us. Children alive today may only be able to experience certain animals in photos and drawings, much as we view the passenger pigeon, the dodo, and the woolly mammoth. Will we be adding blue whale, rhinoceros, and mountain gorilla to this list in the near future? I hope not. Oh, I hope not. But all is not gloom and doom. Most people now are much more aware of the environment and are very interested in learning how to live sustainably. Discussions about conservation, biodiversity, climate change, and ethical eating are an everyday occurrence. 50 years ago, these words were just not part of people's everyday vocabulary. Will future generations know the earth as we do now? No, of course not. But the earth they will call home, with corrective action now and into the future, will also be a place of unsurpassed beauty and teeming life. We have the capability to provide everyone on the planet with a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. It's just up to those of us who call Earth home now to get that force moving. When it gathers enough momentum, it will be unstoppable. As Jane Goodall said, you cannot get through a single day without having an impact on the world around you. What you do makes a difference, and you have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. It's great to see everyone connecting with each other. You can continue your conversations over refreshments after the service, but now it's time to continue. We have some exciting events coming up at Tapestry. Your Tapestry Green Sanctuary Committee has put a lot of time and energy into preparing a great Earth Day celebration. I'm sure some of you have seen outside what's happening. It's going to be today from 11 to 12:30. Lots of displays, games, and many prizes. So come and learn some things at our 5 stations that you can do to have an impact on global warming, water conservation, and ethical eating. There are also several buckets for you to purchase to help you save warm-up and rinse water. All profits will be donated to water charity helping people in developing countries get safe water. You can find information about these and other upcoming events in your order of service or on the website. Our various groups and events reflect our vision of being a transformational home for liberal spirituality and a dynamic community leader in Orange County and beyond. And now Terry Black will light our flaming chalice, the central symbol of our Unitarian Universalist heritage. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lit the flame within us.
Once more, the earth has turned toward the light of the sun, As we're bathed in the light of the new day, may we greet the dawning of fresh possibility. Once more, we awaken from our slumber. As our bodies rise to meet the challenges and the pleasures of living, may our hearts and minds be open to promise. Once more, we're gathered in worship. As we join our voices and our words, may this assembly bring forth wholeness. Welcome to our time to be together in worship. Welcome to Tapestry. I want to invite you to, as we worship together, we remember the milestones, the challenges, the celebrations that shape our lives. Some do that by silently lighting a candle in recognition of those milestones. Others have messages to share. First, I would share that the Jajelkos are celebrating their 51st wedding anniversary. Richard and Susan, where are you? There you are, with the purple hair in the back, if you don't know her. I also wanted to share the news that some of you have heard by now. John and Amanda Wainwright are not here today. Over the past week, they've been traveling between New York and Florida, visiting families in both locations. In the process of that travel, both of their grandfathers died this week. One of those losses was expected, the other was very sudden. So please keep them in your thoughts, as well as their daughter Lauren, in the weeks to come, and they will be here next week to be with us. Sustain you. And now Caitlin has a story for our young and young at heart. If you want to come join us up front.
Our middle schoolers are outside. But yes, good morning. How you guys doing? All right. So do you guys know what the theme of the day is? Was anyone paying attention? Earth, there we go. It's kind of our theme of the month, yeah? Okay, well, I'll just keep going. Am I sitting in the wrong spot? Okay, so our book today is things that you personally can do. So things I can do to help my world. And one of the things, this book's already is 100% recycled. Okay, so she's already doing her part. Okay, that's pretty brief. So I remember to turn off the light when I leave the room. Who remembers to do that? All of you? I can't raise my hand. I don't always remember to do it. My dad used to yell at me, and I still don't do it. Turning off the lights in efficient light bulbs saves valuable energy. That I do, the efficient light bulbs. Yeah, did you guys change? Yep, good job. I try to turn off the tap when I brush my teeth. Now, this one seems old. I don't feel like anybody does that anymore. Why would you have the water on when you brush your teeth? It doesn't make any sense to me. But every time you do this, you save, do you know how many glasses of water? 18. 18 glasses of water. I always throw away my trash and hopefully recycle it. Putting garbage away keeps the world safe and clean. And hopefully you guys do this, yes? All right, I will. Oh, I skipped a page. There we go. Feed the birds in winter. Feeding the birds helps them get ready for nesting in the spring. Jim Summeroth, you guys know who he is? He takes care of the bluebirds. All right, I use both sides of the paper, and this is something I cannot get Amelia to do, so I don't know what to do about that. She's a paper waster, that girl. If everybody did this, it would greatly reduce the number of trees we use to make paper. I guess I just have to not give her any more paper. I remind my parents to unplug the TV when we are not watching it. And this might be something most of us don't do, but appliances use electricity when they're plugged in. Okay? Many electrical appliances use energy when they're not turned off, which is why colleges, I remember in college, they have you unplug everything when you go home for vacation because it uses electricity. I enjoy making toys from things around the house. We can reuse lots of things before we throw them away. I'm sure you guys do this because it's fun to make toys. I like to walk to school. Does anyone walk to school? No. Oh. Amelia does walk to school. She wastes paper, but she walks to school. Avoiding car trips saves gas and cuts down on air pollution. Walking is also good exercise. I can plant seeds and help them grow. And all of you can buy succulents outside today and learn more things about the earth. Plants help keep the air clean and healthy. And I help, this one you can probably guess what it is, sort the recycling. Cans, glass, compost, paper, and plastic. And it says, more than half of our garbage can be recycled. It takes much less energy to recycle something than to replace it with something new. And we do all of these things because I love my world. All right, and so after our class, you guys are the 2nd to 5th graders are going to talk more about water, and the little ones, we're going to talk about food, how we can be ethical eaters and be healthy. All right, and then there's tables and a scavenger hunt and all exciting things after class for all the adults and the children outside because of the Green Sanctuary Committee. So we will see you guys after our class.
This morning's reading is a little longer than usual. It's very hard to edit Henry David Thoreau. His sentences are quite long. In fact, this reading is about 3 sentences. So this is from Walden. Sometimes I rambled to pine groves, standing like temples or like fleets at sea, full-rigged, with wavy bows and rippling with light, so soft and green and shady that the Druids would have forsaken their oaks to worship in them, or to the cedar wood beyond Flint's Pond, where the trees, covered with hoary blueberries, spiring higher and higher, are fit to stand before Valhalla, and the creeping juniper covers the ground with wreaths full of fruit, or to swamps where the Usnea lichen hangs in festoons from the black spruce trees, and toadstools, round tables of swamp gods, cover the ground, and more beautiful fungi adorn the stumps, like butterflies or shells, vegetable wrinkles. Where the swamp pink and the dogwood grow, the red alderberry glows like eyes of imps. The waxwork grooves and crushes the hardest woods in its fold, and the wild hollyberries make the beholder forget his home with their beauty. And he's dazzled and tempted by nameless other forbidden fruits, too fair for mortal taste. Instead of calling on some scholar, I paid many a visit to particular trees, of kinds which are rare in this neighborhood, standing far away in the middle of some pasture or in the depth of the wood or swamp or on a hilltop. I know but one small grove of sizable trees left in the township, supposed by some to have been planted by the pigeons that once baited with beech nuts nearby. It's worth the while to see the silver grain sparkle when you split this wood. The bass, the hornbeam, the Celtis occidentalis or false elm, or a more perfect hemlock than usual, standing like a pagoda in the midst of the woods, and many others I could mention. These are the shrines I visited, both summer and winter. Here ends our reading. Silent meditation. You may sit back and relax, take a few deep breaths, and let us embrace the wisdom of shared silence. Namaste. Amen and blessed be. Unitarian Universalist writers have used the metaphor of roots and branches a lot. In fact, at my home congregation, it's the name Roots and Branches is the name of a series of classes for new members. It includes people of Unitarian Universalist history as the roots, and it explains the wider denomination and that particular congregation, which we might obviously call the branches. And famously, Sophia Lyons-Fawes was a leader in children's religious education. She described the work of educating our children as a gift of roots and branches. In our classes, we strive to provide a foundation of religious understandings, both Unitarian and from other faith traditions. And in addition to providing those roots, we encourage children to grow and to explore what's true for themselves. Over and over again, we've used this metaphor of roots and branches to understand our past and our future, or a way of understanding our sort of theological roots and the way we branch out from them. It's a useful metaphor. I think trees have a lot more to teach us, though. Without referring to our history or our own beliefs, trees have things to teach us on their own terms. In our reading from earlier, Henry David Thoreau referred to some pretty magnificent trees at Walden Pond. He called them shrines that he visited. He traveled miles through the snow in the winter to visit these trees, these shrines. For a very long time, our predecessors have found inspiration in nature. And Thomas Starr King, a name that may be familiar with you as he's a Californian, took that inspiration one step farther. He was actually the first American minister to claim nature as a source of theological truth. Just as one might refer to a sacred text, the Bible, he saw truths in nature, that they had moral lessons to teach us on their own. He wrote this about the Sierra Mountains. Believe in them, for they are the mountain principles, the altar piles of life. Breathe in the air that's freshened on their heights. Drink of the streams that flow fresh from the channels in their sides. And in every season of doubt, temptation, or despair, lift thine eyes unto the hills from whence cometh thy help. As we celebrate Earth Day today, I want to invite us to consider some of the things that we can learn from trees. Not as a symbol of our history and our ideas, but let us consider some of what trees have to tell us about how to thrive in the world. Now, the most striking thing to me about trees, and the thing that drew my attention on Earth Day, is their rootedness. They survive by building a deep and intricate connection to one particular spot. One of the simplest, I am writing a lot of children's stories in this sermon, you'll notice, and I think it's because my mom is visiting, but one of the simplest and most well-known children's stories is The Three Little Pigs. The three pigs grew up and went out into the world to make their way. With their newfound freedom, the laziest pig built a house of straw, the second built a house of sticks, but one hard-working little pig built a house out of brick and mortar. One day, the wolf came along, of course, and he blew right through the house of straw and the house of sticks. But the house of brick protected them, all of them, from the big bad wolf. It's a nice story for kids to learn about hard work. There's another emphasis, though, about attending to issues of substance and stability. It's not just the third pig's work that built a strong house. I mean, he could have spent just as much time building that house out of origami or stained glass. This third and wisest pig built his house sturdy. A house that would stand for a long time against the elements. He might even pass it down to his own children. Building something with a solid foundation, building life connected with one spot, is an unfortunately rare thing in 21st century America. Our lifestyles are pretty rootless. So I want to conduct a very quick survey. By show of hands, how many people in this room grew up here in Orange County? Okay. And how many of you have been here for less than 20 years? How many of you have been here for less than 10 years? Good portion. It's become the norm for us humans to move great distances. Some of us uproot over and over again in search of better opportunities. That migration is more pronounced here in Orange County, perhaps, but it's true across the country. Now, seeing the world and having opportunities for development is a really good and important thing. But trees remind us that there's a power in knowing one place deeply, seeing it through seasons, through years, through good times and bad. I don't mean to suggest that moving is a terrible or immoral thing, but it strikes me that building roots, connecting with the local community, and I mean people and animals and plants and rivers and bodies of water, is more important than we realize. I think that, like trees, working to grow roots where we are is really essential to thriving. Imagine if we invested that much energy in mutuality with our neighbors, human and otherwise. Imagine if we felt like we need to defend our homes. What if we felt territorial about the ground beneath our feet? If we took responsibility for a particular place on the earth that is our particular home? The second thing that I see in trees is their sense of balance. In so many ways, their physiology is perfectly balanced. They seem to strike the perfect balance between holding on and letting go. Their roots, of course, hold tight to the soil, but their branches freely let go of dead leaves and seeds and flowers in their season. They have a great wisdom of holding on to what is essential and letting go of what's no longer helpful. That kind of balance is something only the wisest among us can aspire to. It's actually the core of the tradition of Buddhism. Maybe we should begin to see trees as little bodhisattvas, little helper Buddhas, compassionately teaching us to achieve balance in our own lives. And holding on and letting go isn't the only balance. Trees also strike a perfect balance between the light and the dark in life. They reach down deep into the dark soil where they also reach up into the light. It's a great picture of genuine emotional and spiritual health. The challenging, unknown, dark recesses, the scary place, the hurts and challenges, have a lot to teach us. At the same time, we're called to say yes to life, to reach toward happiness when the opportunity arises, and to be grateful for the sunshine of every single day. They teach us an invaluable lesson about our spiritual well-being. If all we focus on is the darkness and the challenge, there's no chance to grow leaves and breathe fresh air. And if all we focus on is the sunshine and rainbows in life, our foundations will be weak, and a good breeze will wipe us out. Life's a balance between light and dark. Trees can teach us something about that. The last and probably the most important thing that we might learn from trees is the way that they thrive through cooperation. Trees offer a really great demonstration of mutual supportive relationship. Now, for generations, one mythical tree has taught American children some very bad lessons about cooperation. Last year, or maybe it was the year before, I read The Giving Tree during the Time for All Ages. And our children jumped right in. I didn't have to unpack this at all. You all remember this story. The boy and the tree fell in love with each other immediately. The boy wanted to have fun, so he swung in her branches. And he grew up a little bit, and he wanted to make some money. So the tree gave him all her apples to sell, so he went and sold her apples and made money. More time passes, and the boy wants to make a house, so the tree offers him all her branches to build a house. Later, after his career, the boy wants a boat to go far, far away, so the tree says, "Here, take my trunk, make a canoe." By the end of the story, the boy is an old man. The tree's no longer a tree, but a stump. And all the old man wants to do is to sit, and the former tree, now a stump, offers herself as a place to sit. It didn't take long for our children to jump in, telling me what they thought of this story. "That boy wasn't very nice," they said. "And the tree wasn't very smart either." The truth is, no one knows exactly what Shel Silverstein, the author, intended to suggest in this story. The story can be read several different ways, but one message that is quite strong is about how unbalanced relationships are deadly for everyone involved. In this messed up arrangement, both the tree and the boy lose out on better opportunities of what may have been. Obviously, the tree gets destroyed in the process. There was literally nothing left of her at the end of the story, but the tragedy is deeper than that. The boy in this story also never learned in ways that he could have. Imagine if the tree had encouraged the boy to plant other apple trees with those seeds. Or what if the tree had said, "I love you and you're important to me, but other animals depend on me too. They live in my branches and they eat my apples. I can't give you everything." Imagine if the tree had said, "No. Because I love you and want you to learn more sustainable ways of being in relationships, you may not destroy me." That little book, beloved as it is, tells such a different story from actual trees. Real trees thrive in mutual relationships with other beings. They provide food and shelter for animals, and animals help them in return, just like that boy could have if he had planted those apple seeds. Did you know that a lot of varieties of pine cones are adapted precisely to be spread by animals, so that animals, as they dig in there and munch on some of the seeds, other seeds get scattered and planted in the ground? I found a couple of other interesting bits doing research. Trees in Africa also depend on critters for their flourishing. Acacia trees and ants live together. The ants live in the acacia tree's big swollen thorns, and they pay the tree rent by attacking leaf-eating insects that might come and devour the tree. But those ants steer clear of bees and other things that might pollinate the tree's flowers, allowing the tree to reproduce. How's that for a delicate balance? Pretty amazing. I don't mean to wax overly poetic. There is, in fact, a lot of competition in nature, and survival isn't easy. There's much more going on than competition, though. Many of the relationships are mutually beneficial. There's a give and take in the living community so that every species has enough access to resources to thrive in an appropriate way. We've really perverted the notion of survival of the fittest to think that every single being is in competition with every other one. But that is absolutely not the case. As I've described with trees, they survive through symbiosis, and that's to say nothing of the countless other animals that care for their young or care for the other members of their pack. Simply put, cooperation is just as natural as competition. Without cooperation, none of us would be sitting upon this glorious earth after all. And that's how trees teach us about our faith. I use the word faith occasionally, and I know that it catches Unitarian Universalists off guard. Sometimes their face even contorts a little bit. What is it that we have faith in as Unitarian Universalists? Our faith isn't in some magical intervention that will come and make everything okay. And our faith isn't that when we get to the pearly gates that all will be sorted out accordingly. Our faith is knowing that even when fear makes us want to fight, an interdependent web of mutual support brought us into this life and will carry us through it. Our faith is knowing deep in our bones that cooperation is the way to life for all of us together. Amen. This morning is a special offering. It's actually one of our Generosity Sundays that we do every other month. So the morning's offering will help support the Native Children's Schools at Pine Ridge Reservation in South Dakota. The state of education on the reservation is severely lacking. I was shocked by these numbers, but the school dropout rate is over 70%, and teacher turnover rate is 8 times that of the U.S. national average. School supplies on the reservation are so expensive that some parents just don't send their kids to school. I know those numbers sound shocking here in the United States, but they're real. Tapestry member Daya Shankar and her late husband Bob Fisher were passionate supporters of these schools, and Daya still funds a scholarship for a girl on the reservation regularly. So this morning, half of the cash collected will be sent to the American Indian Education Fund. If you'd like to write a check, please make it out to American Indian Education Fund. Or if your intent is to give to Tapestry, you can make a check out that way as well. So thank you for your financial generosity. It's just one of the many ways that we try to live our faith here at Tapestry.
Each year, the Unitarian Universalist Ministry for the Earth honors those in our congregations who have come to a personal crossroads and made the decision to act on behalf of the earth, our congregational eco-heroes. They have asked what exactly comprises sufficient individual effort that, if taken by each of us, would save the planet. At Tapestry, we have such an eco-hero. Not only does she and her family live sustainably, but she works tirelessly and with good humor educates the rest of us on what we can do to support the interconnected web of life and what implications are if we do nothing. The UU Ministry for the Earth is honoring Carol Sevenroth. The Ministry for the Earth honors her on the website as one of the 2016 Eco Heroes. And on behalf of the board, I would like to present a certificate of appreciation to Carol.
We extinguish this flame, knowing the light remains in the warmth and compassion of our hearts until we are together again.
Would you reach out for a moment and take the hand of someone near you? Leaving this human sanctuary, take with you some seed of understanding, hope, or courage, and drop it into the confusion of the world. Nourish the seed, that it might grow as a tree giving life and shelter to a weary and needing world. Go in peace, and let the light within you be a blessing to our world.